Rather than begin the new year with an entitled national holiday, Borno Governor Professor Babagana Umara Zulum used the 4th day of January 2020 to commission multi-sectoral projects in Hawul, local government area of southern Borno. On healthcare, Zulum on the New Year's Day commissioned a 100-bed general hospital in Azare and 2 units of 40-bed primary healthcare centers in Kwajafa and Kwayabura, all in Hawul local government area. Also in January, Professor Zulum inspected ongoing remodeling of Professor Umaru Shehu Hospital in Maiduguri. The governor received Executive Director of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, and in same January, he inaugurated board members for a newly created Borno Contributory Healthcare Management Agency. All the activities aimed to increase public access to affordable medical services. On education, Professor Zulum in January 2020 commissioned a mega primary school and a local education authority complex in Biu town. He also commissioned a central primary school in Kwayabura. Also on education, Zulum in January inaugurated board members for a newly created Borno Education Trust Fund for more efficient funding of educational projects and programs. On housing, Professor Zulum in January laid foundation for the construction of 2 estates with a combined number of 500 houses designed with school, a shopping complex and internal roads around the State University. In same month, Governor Zulum was at headquarters of an estate developer, Family Homes Fund in Abuja, preparatory to the construction of 4,900 rural and urban houses in Borno State. On land reform, Professor Zulum in January inaugurated board members for a newly established Borno State Geographic Information Services, which is introducing digital land administration in Borno State. On infrastructure, Professor Zulum in January laid foundation for the construction of Borno's first flyover with combined length of 2.4 kilometers in upper and bottom layers. Zulum also in January inspected ongoing construction of 1.5 kilometers road in Biu Township. On governance, Professor Zulum in January commissioned a new local government secretariat in Biu town. He also inaugurated board members for a newly created Borno State Public Procurement Agency to enhance transparency in public expenditures. In January, Professor Zulum launched a new phase of social protection to engage 2,862 youths into a wasteful cash monthly allowance sponsored by the UNDP. Zulum had in June 2019 introduced the first phase of the program in his carrot and stick approach to ending political thuggery. On the welfare of workers, Professor Zulum in January 2020 began implementation of the new national minimum wage of 30,000 naira after receiving the report of the multi-stakeholder committee on the minimum wage he had set up in 2019. On unemployment, Professor Zulum in January visited headquarters of the National Directorate of Employment in Abuja. The Director General said it was the first visit by any northern governor in Nigeria. Also in January, Professor Engineer Zulum alongside Senator Kashim Shettima attended the swearing-in of the 32nd President of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. Both leaders attended the event in Abuja to honor a Borno indigene who became President of the NSC. On economy, Professor Zulum in January received and held discussions with Chief Executive of the Nigerian Export Promotion Council in Maiduguri with focus on promoting agro-exports from Borno State. In January, Professor Zulum launched a rapid response squad with the distribution of 70 new surveillance vehicles to the military, police and volunteers in the civilian JTF, hunters and vigilantes involved in fighting Boko Haram. Also in January, Zulum allocated 16 other patrol vehicles to hunters and civilian JTF, helping to secure Damboa local government area. Governor Zulum was also in the Republic of Chad, during which he was at headquarters of the Multinational Joint Task Force and also in the Lake Chad Basin Commission, both in Jamena. Also in January, Professor Zulum inaugurated board members for a newly created Security Trust Fund for efficient funding of security procurement and training of counterinsurgency volunteers. Also in January, Professor Zulum was at the prestigious National Defense College in Abuja in honor of an invitation. The governor delivered a paper on strategic leadership in times of insurgency. On humanitarian affairs, Professor Zulum in January undertook visits to Damboa town, where he supervised distribution of food and non-food items to 20,000 displaced and vulnerable persons. Zulum at different times paid visits to Jakana, Auno, Mainok, in Kunduga and Kaga local government areas to assess humanitarian needs and strengthen resilience in the aftermath of attacks by insurgents. Also in January, Zulum spent the most part of one night at an IDP camp located at the NYSC Center in Maiduguri. The governor supervised the distribution of food and non-food items to 1,675 families. Professor Zulum also received a delegation from the European Union. He also received Chief Executive of the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons in Maiduguri. Professor Zulum concluded his major activities in January 2020 by hosting a high-level intergovernmental humanitarian meeting in Abuja. The meeting, which focused on planned repatriation of thousands of Borno citizens taking refuge in Chad and Cameroon, was attended by Chief Executive and top officials from the Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, the National Emergency Management Agency, and the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons. The meeting resolved to take measures towards the safe and dignified return of Nigerians, mostly from Borno State, taking refuge in neighboring countries. Report by Loretta Omoruyi.